show you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
What could be greater than a king?
A hero.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Are you in?
Welcome to the DC Films Unlimited podcast, where we're going to be talking all things DC films. And I'm Alex from Spectre Entertainment, joined by Darren from Detective Comics Talks, big DC head. We're both big DC heads, and we're looking forward to all these DC movies, and we're going to be talking about all of them in this series. But first, we're going to start with the Flash movie, since it's one of the most pivotal, most important films coming out for DC. And Darren, what's your first thoughts when you hear the Flash movie is coming?
First things first, Alex. Hello.
Yes, hello. Let's say, get those.
It's so good to be here. I know. It's so good to be here. First time. It took us a few shots to get started, but I'm happy we're here. Mm-hmm. I think that this is genuinely the most hype I've ever had as a DC fan.
So you are excited for the Flash movie because, if you just go on the internet, it seems like everyone's fucking all over the place. They're all completely split on this movie. They keep calling it the Flush movie or whatever. Or is that just the Snyder Bros that keep talking about that?
Yeah, I think it's just them.
Yeah, I think it's just but yeah, for the amount of stuff we know about the movie, there's still so much we don't know about the movie, which is surprising that they kept so much secret. I mean, all we know is like Supergirl's in it, Michael Keaton's in it, Ben Affleck's in it. Like that's about it. A doppelganger, Barry Allen. But,
yeah. Now obviously we've had the recent announcement that Michael Shannon, obviously, is coming back as Zod. So we're going to have the Man of Steel element somewhere in this movie.
Yeah. So they're still keeping Man of Steel like a connected thing to the universe. But that's interesting that Zod. They specifically pick Zod. I mean, what other villains could possibly pop up in this movie? Because I don't know about you, but like behind the scenes on The Flash was pretty airtight. Like I never saw a single like photo of Michael Shannon on set of The Flash. You know what I'm saying?
No, that just like obviously came out recently in a press release. It was a preview for 2022 movies from WB Pictures. So that came out of nowhere. And the fact that he's been named Michael Shannon and obviously as well the actress for Fiora. Obviously, both of them have been announced. So that's interesting because it means obviously that they must have at least an extended cameo at minimum, if they've been obviously put on the call sheet for that preview. So I didn't actually expect to see those characters at least for an extended period. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
I mean, who else could be in the movie too? Like, if they were able to keep those actor's secret for this long. I mean, they shot The Flash a while ago too. Like,
it was end of October. They wrapped filming, so it's been in the can for a few months now. Obviously, we're hearing constantly that this movie could get pushed, it could get delayed. I still find it weird because, like we say, it's been in the can since the end of October. I understand it's going to be a heavy CGI movie, but I still think that's more than enough time, over a year to get the movie up to scratch. So
it's funny. The people doing the CGI, the lead special effects guy is a DJ that did the special effects for Man of Steel and Green Lantern and a bunch of other DC movies.
We did the Snyder Cut as well. So
the Snyder Cut too. I mean, every Zack Snyder movie, I think he was also on.
Yeah. So at least the visuals are going to be good in this movie. Like no matter what, we know this movie is going to have stunning visuals, and the Flash scenes in Zack Snyder's Justice League were fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those scenes look great, and I love that they're going back to the yellow on the lightning for the Flash. It just looks like it's coming right off a comic book page, which is awesome.
What do you think of the suit?
I mean, from the shots we've seen of it, it looks mostly CG, except for like some of those, live act, some shots where his face doesn't quite fit the cowl. I don't know if you've seen that shot.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
That seemed odd because every other shot, it looks like it fits him fine. Like, so
I think maybe it might have been an angle thing or something like that. I feel
a
like
shadow
maybe
on his nose or something like that.
I find that the state when I first saw that trailer, and I've seen it about 100 times since, but not the trailer, it's almost like a teaser for the teaser. But that sort of short clip we saw, I found it strange that was the one shot people pulled out. I was like, personally, I didn't think it looked that bad, but like I found it strange people pulled that one bit out. Having looked at it a few times, I can sort of see where people are coming from. But overall, we've seen some shots of the suit from behind. We've seen a sort of panning shot in the Batcave of the suit, and I thought it looked fantastic. I genuinely did think it looked fantastic.
Yeah, every other shot you're seeing from it looks great with all the CG effects on the lightning on the suit and stuff like that. It totally looks like the new 52 too. I mean, it's not just me.
Totally.
Like,
it's the most comic booky the Flash has looked.
Are they going to be able to do the thing where it pops out of the rain? Or is that going to be in the movie, you think? I wonder.
We've seen the ring. We know the ring is there. We've seen that.
Yeah, we know it's in the movie.
I wouldn't be surprised if the last shot of the movie is Barry. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, and I think that would be absolutely amazing. And I feel like on TV they've tried that sort of thing. It's not really worked. I feel like when you do it live action with a big budget, with obviously DJ and his team working behind the scenes in the VFX, I feel like they can make that work. I feel like they can make the Flash thing work. I just think it's really cool we're actually getting a Flash thing in live action.
Yeah. I mean, it's not only going to be a Flash origin, but it's also going to like reboot this whole universe and give it a new starting point and stuff. A lot like the Flashpoint comic, which is everything. It's going to be being based off. So I guess Jeff Johns is the blueprint here. They're still going with it.
Everybody's going to love that. I'm not really interested in getting into that whole topic, but when people talk about the whole just Jeff Johns as the comic book writer, take away what your opinions of the Jeff Johns or maybe what you've heard from certain people on Twitter coming out with stories that are to this day unfounded. Take that away from it. Jeff Johns is the most prolific and has arguably carried DC for the last at least 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
So you're going to use this guy's stuff. This guy is Mr. DC. This is the guy who he knows these characters better than anybody. And when you think about the Flash, you think about Flashpoint. That's what you think about. That is
guess who DC brought back to make more Flashpoint books? You know what I'm saying? Brought back Jeff Johns to fucking continue on his most popular fucking book in DC.
I find it strange that people out there are crying for a comics accurate Flashpoint movie, but then those same people, the same ones complaining that Jeff Johns is back writing more in the Flashpoint universe. I mean, that's a different subject, but quite funny.
Yeah, those people, I don't think they're paying attention to a lot of things. Really
I don't think they've ever read Flashpoint, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big universe with Flashpoint too. A lot of spin-off books to that series. That was written by Brian Azzarello, right? Yeah. He wrote a book, and a bunch of other people wrote books.
I think that this obviously, just talking about the Flash movie.
Yeah.
Well, we aren't actually getting a direct adaptation of Flashpoint, but it seems to be they are taking a lot of elements from Flashpoint.
Yes.
So
Barry Allen's mom dying stuff, changing the timelines, resetting the universe to a new continuity, which was like the whole point of Flashpoint. It was like,
of course,
it gave us the new 52 really after that. But the whole movie of Flash should be centered around Flash and his origin and his mother dying. And I wonder if the audience is too used to that already because of the Flash TV show. Like they already seen that story. But I guess not everybody's seen it. But still, I feel like it might be too familiar to be the crux of the movie,
I think that maybe we've discussed this before, and like I said, that I feel like maybe because we are in it, we are in these books, we're in these stories, we talk about it daily. But I feel like we know the origin story, we know Spider-Man's or Batman's origin story. Or
we don't need to see the Waynes die,
But I think maybe the beauty of the Flash movie is they can do it quickly. We don't need the whole. Oh, yeah. We don't need the whole. We've seen 2 versions of Justice League. we have sort of had a brief introduction to the character. We understand the concept of the Flash, so they can sort of maybe they could do flashbacks, or they could just do it through talking.
That would be funny. Flashbacks in a Flash movie. You know?
That would be uncanny sort of situation there. But I think they could do something like that. I understand they maybe don't want to have a movie completely based around the origin story, and this movie isn't that anyway. But there is ways to tell the origins with Flashpoint, because the movie is, sort of like, I'd imagine the first act of the movie at least is going to be Barry going through how he became the Flash, obviously with his mother dying, his father in prison. I feel like the first act will give us a lot of that, a lot of explanation there.
Yeah, how did he become the Flash in this universe? Because in Justice League, he just already has his powers before he becomes a forensics scientist,
Mm-hmm.
So how did he just get struck by lightning while jogging outside or something like that? Like, is that just what was the situation,
I feel like we're going to get a very comics accurate sort of, maybe not flashback, a comics accurate explanation to how Barry became the Flash.
Chemicals. In a science room, as the lightning striking. I feel like the TV show kind of nailed that. That first season, the whole thing.
I mean,
obviously the show went a little downhill later, but that first season was still pretty awesome for an origin for him. It nailed all the things it needed to nail.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, this Flash movie, it's directed by Andy Muschietti. All I know from him is It chapters 1 and 2. Which are fine movies. They're pretty good movies.
Yes.
They're well made. He knows how to handle budgets and stuff. And this movie,
absolutely,
as far as I know, the Flash movie hasn't had tons of reshoots. They really shot everything they wanted to shoot. It's not like they had $150 million worth of reshoots on this movie,
Yeah, well, I think one thing that I always say to people when we're talking about on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, private message, when we're talking about the Flash, that movie shot for about nearly 7 months.
Yep.
That was a long shoot. That started, I think, about March last year, and then wrapped up in October. That was a long shoot. I feel like when people talk about reshoots, etc., I feel like they probably overshot for that movie to give themselves lots of options.
Oh, for sure. And I'm thinking, I don't know if you heard what the rumored runtime of the movie was, but they're saying the Flash movie is going to be over 2.5 hours easy. And which makes sense because they shot
it has to be
so long.
But I feel like what this movie's dealing with,
all the stuff it has to accomplish, all the stuff it has to do, it's got to be almost 3 hours probably. Yeah.
Do you know what? I would normally say to you when we're talking about movies and 3 hours long, I don't like the idea of having to sit in a movie all the time for 3 hours. I don't mind it when it's maybe like the end of a trilogy, or it was like Avengers Endgame. I don't mind it then. Obviously, I feel like I'm pure grumpy here, but especially the way cinema's moved on, obviously post-pandemic, people don't want, people have got so many options through streaming and Netflix and Disney Plus and HBO Max that they don't, people might not choose to sit in a theatre for 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like some people might only go once. It might kill the repeat watch factor, etc.
Yeah, especially if they don't like the movie. Especially if there's bad word of mouth, it's definitely going to kill any.
Look, you only need to look back to 2016 to BVS. Mm-hmm. No matter what anybody tells you, that movie started off massive. I think that movie was just about 5 million. Yeah, 500. Yeah, nearly 500 million first weekend. And the drop, it was a 68% drop in the second weekend, just because people didn't, it wasn't a good word of mouth and people didn't go back. Obviously, the movie made money, but the point is, there wasn't that rewatchability, that rewatch factor. And I think that played, obviously, and you don't want that to happen here, of course, because you already are handicapped with the fact that the movie will be available at home for free after 45 days.
Yeah,
so
because Warner Brothers is committed to HBO Max, way more so than making money in theaters. I think they've made that apparent, last year. Well, but,
I think that's the if that's how they seem, if that's how they want to move forward and progress. I think HBO. I must say that HBO has fantastic content. I think that on its own, HBO Max, if it was like merged completely. I feel like the content they produce is enough to rival any streaming service. But obviously, they need to kick on. They need to be more, they need to have more options. They need to like start doing a lot more spin-offs and series for the movies, and Harry Potter will be coming back.
Oh yeah, it's coming though. We'll dedicate a whole episode to Peacemaker, but that show's doing great right now on HBO Max.
It's fantastic.
And they got like a bunch of shows lined up for the Batman movie too, to spin off from the Batman movie. So I imagine they're gonna have something for the Flash to spin off from that movie, probably.
Batgirl,
Batgirl. Batgirl was originally supposed to be on HBO Max exclusively, but they moved that to theaters.
No. I think that still is. I think Blue Beetle was moved.
Oh, is that the one that got moved?
Yeah, it was Blue Beetle. It was Blue Beetle. I would love Batgirl to be moved. I need to double check. I'm pretty certain that Batgirl's still only HBO Max.
Yeah. Even if it does get theaters though for 45 days, it's not a long time. That's like 6 weeks. How long was Batman versus Superman's theatrical run? I think it was like over like 15 weeks or something like that. It was like 14, 15 weeks.
I feel like that played right up until Captain America Civil War came out. It played right through.
Yeah, it was in the theaters for a long time. Like every tentpole, like big like comic book film, these 45 days is not a long time. But I still think in that window they'll make plenty of money. But people, we were talking about this earlier, but people do really obsess about that $1 billion mark with everything. Yeah. And we were saying there's no way the Flash. I mean, there's a chance, but like. It's a chance in hell that it's going to make $1 billion.
I think the Flash, what I don't like we discussed before, we shouldn't be discussing that type of thing. That's just an icing on top of the cake. But I think when it comes to the Flash, just because of the amount of competition in 2022 with all the movies that have been pushed in the last 2 years, no matter when the Flash opens up, it's either going to open up just before Black Panther 2, which is going to have the buzz. Of course, Chadwick Boseman no longer being there, people wanting to see what happens next. Plus, it's a Marvel movie, and even if it was to move after Black Panther, it would have Avatar as competition within weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think that movie's coming. I forget Avatar's coming.
Well, if it ever comes, we've been waiting for that second movie for a long time. But if no matter what, the Flash is going to have that sort of. So the Flash, the Flash, it will make, as long as it makes money. But the point of the Flash is it has to be a good movie. That's all we need. We need a good movie. That's the people. I think, like we've said, if we so caught up in the $1 billion conversation that. We're forgetting that if the movie's good, that's all that should matter. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Because then they'll be able to build off of it, and it's going to be a movie that will sell forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, people will always be watching it and on streaming or buying the Blu-ray or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but they don't do that with bad movies. Like, nobody buys the fucking Joss Whedon version of Justice League. You know what I'm saying? Nobody goes out of their way to go find that, Right. But if it's a good movie, people will watch it forever.
Absolutely.
So, what about casting and stuff like that? Should we talk about Ezra? He might be the make or break with this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got a little bit of a mouth. He does some strange things offset, So, I just hope he stays quiet because I don't even know how I feel about him as Flash. I feel like the Justice League movie we saw, I didn't get enough with Barry Allen. Ezra Miller as Barry Allen.
I feel like Ezra, to me, I remember all the way back from Perks of Being a Wallflower. That was the first time I saw Ezra, and I thought he was fantastic. Obviously, WB doubled down on him. He is the face of Fantastic Beasts, that franchise. That is a franchise that is fraught with all sorts of allegations with Johnny Depp, with J.K. Rowling. That's a franchise that's in so much trouble with WB. They can't catch a break, WB. Obviously, and also he's the face. He is going to be the face of the DCEU going forward. Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot are going to be. It seems like the only consistency really here, with the changing, which we'll get to in a moment, with the Flash, with the opportunity the Flash is going to create for the studio to change things up. Ezra is going to be, a mainstay for this universe.
I mean, yeah, for sure. And obviously, if the movie doesn't work out, I think that would be it for Ezra as the Flash. I don't know. He's been, as you said, a bunch of WB franchises. Like, he's obviously a guy WB wants to promote a lot because he's a really good actor. The first movie I saw him in was We Need to Talk About Kevin. That was the first one I saw him in. He's scary as fuck in that movie.
He's great in that movie.
So, like, him being a doppelganger in this Flash and be like the evil version that might turn into Reverse Flash, like, I feel like that's going to work. I feel like he can pull that off pretty well.
I feel like, they've also, obviously we'll get a bit into what we think the movie's going to be about, but I feel like that concept is fantastic. I feel like that is a really clever concept that they could really work off of.
And I've seen it before. I've seen it before, like Reverse Flash looking like Barry Allen. I've seen this before. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I feel like as well it helps that it isn't another character in the sense that this movie has so much to introduce that having the variant version of Barry potentially, from what we've heard, be the villain, it helps streamline it. Although we have to introduce this variant, it's not going to be as much work to introduce this variant as it would be having to introduce Matthew McConaughey or something like that as the Reverse Flash. We would need to give a lot more work to that. So I feel like it's quite a clever way of cutting out the explanation there,
But, there's so much about this movie we really don't know. I mean, there's only like...
No.
Like, we just found out like Zod was in it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they got some big name actor, they just kept it secret. And like,
I think this movie, I think this movie is going to have like so much stuff we don't know. Like, I feel like this movie is going to have just about everything we've seen in the DCEU so far will show up in this movie, I think.
I don't know if you believe it, but there was some things going around that they're doing early screenings for the Flash. They're doing some test screenings for it right now.
Yeah.
And people are saying that like there's a bunch of shit in the movie like you have no idea is coming. Like there's like which is very surprising because like Spider-Man No Way Home, like we knew everything that was in that movie before it came out. Like it all leaked online and everything. So I wonder if we're gonna get closer to the date, we'll find out everything, but I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think maybe as more people see the movie, like I say, what we've heard so far, like it seems definitively from like very good sources, in my opinion. Say what you like about Casey Walsh, he's pretty on point. I would say Daniel RPK as well. These people are coming out. Even Grace Randolph, who is a massive Snyder lover, she's got a lot of exclusives with Zach. She has come out and said, no, this is the vision, this is the way it's going, we have to move on whether you like it or not, and she's backing up a lot of the claims that came out about what people saw in this movie. But I feel like what we've heard about this movie is the ending. Like we've said, like we only know how the movie will end. We don't know what happens in the first act, second act, or even the third act. We don't know who they're fighting. We don't know why the Flash has to go and ask for help of the OG Batman, Michael Keaton. We don't know any of this stuff.
And by the way, I mean, we might as well get into Michael Keaton right now because I feel like that is like the biggest selling factor of the movie. Just to see him in the bat costume again is going to be fucking huge. Like people that are my age or younger, they probably don't realize how big of a deal it is. But Batman '89 was a huge success. Like if you do, what's it called? Count for inflation or whatever. Like that movie made over $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for me, I still stand by the best comic book movie of all time is The Dark Knight. But if you were to just pick on like Batman, just Batman movies, I'd say it's The Dark Knight, but then Batman '89 second, because Batman '89, people don't actually understand what that movie had to accomplish.
Yeah.
Where they had to take the character of Batman from being the campy '60s Adam West.
That's all people knew. That's all the mainstream knew. They didn't know about Dark Knight Returns. You know what I'm saying?
And Michael Keaton, he made the Batman, not beyond just "I'm Batman," the quote, like he made Batman what he is now. He laid that foundations.
Yeah. Super popularized it. Yeah.
Ben Affleck is my favourite Batman in the suit because he looks like the comic book version of Batman.
Yeah.
But Michael Keaton is probably my favourite Batman movie version. I don't know why. There's something, him in that latex rubber suit thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something with his Batmobile and his Gotham.
And his
something
Batman
about that.
voice is always like this quiet, like brooding voice. It's not like he's not yelling in a gargle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where are the other drugs going? He's not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like his Batman is the only, Christian Bale's Batman was set in a very realistic world. I feel like Robert Pattinson is sort of in a hyper-realistic world where it's something like the Michael Keaton, but it's also very much the Christian Bale. And I feel like that Batman is going to be set in a, it's not really a DCEU world. There can't be, I don't think there would be a Superman or a Wonder Woman in that world. Whereas Michael Keaton's Batman, you've seen he fights a Catwoman, he fights a Penguin, he fights a Joker, like he is in a world that meshes very well with a connected cinematic universe.
For sure. And, I think they mentioned, like, Metropolis in those Michael Keaton Batman movies at some point. So, like, yeah. I could have swore they did.
I think that's in Batman. I'm pretty sure that's in Batman Forever.
Yeah.
That's Batman Forever.
But technically, Batman Forever is, like, a sequel to Returns. Like, technically...
I think this movie and The Flash will make it very clear that it's not. But I think, it was at the time, like it was like...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same Commissioner Gordon, same Alfred, so...
If they just brought back Billy D to be Two-Face, I think that would have been, like, fucking perfect. But
do you know what? Like, I was thinking not long ago, I was like, if they're going to run through, timelines and multiverses, I genuinely would not rule out Barry for a few moments run into a universe of Michael Keaton's Batman and Billy D's Two-Face or Danny DeVito's the Penguin.
Oh yeah.
I genuinely believe this Flash movie is that, it's going for that much. We see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They are going to Marvel. By the sounds of it, the movie's a bit of a mess. So what they're doing is they're just going to start throwing cameos and variants to try and just cover up from a bad script.
Yeah.
I feel like The Flash is just going to go 110. It's going to throw in everything you've ever saw in DC movies. I wouldn't even rule out like bloody Jonah Hex showing up with Josh Brolin or something like that.
Which would be fine by me. I don't think that movie's that bad. Honestly, I feel like it's all right. It's not even like it's not complete trash.
I genuinely feel like this Flash movie, the sky's the limit. I feel like DC, Warner Brothers know how important this is, and they also know that if you're going to explain a multiverse and variants, etc., like that, you need to have these characters come in so they can go, okay, like this happened in this timeline, and it's an easier way to explain to people than somebody standing and just talking to the camera, which it could easily turn into. Like, I feel like sometimes the CW falls into that trap, but it's like it's too much talking to the camera instead of actually showing.
That was the problem with that Aquaman movie. You remember those scenes with Willem Dafoe just talking at the camera on a beach?
Yeah.
That's what we call script problems. Saying like they have to like do a bunch of exposition to explain what's happening. But hopefully, totally. The Flash script itself went through a bunch of writers. I even went through Grant Morrison at one point. It ended up with the Birds of Prey writer, Christina Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking she's just a script doctor on it. I'm thinking she just had the final pass on it.
Well, I feel like maybe she's like she's becoming some kind of, like, I don't know, she's becoming kind of a major role in the DC films now, because obviously she was hands all over Birds of Prey. She's got her hands all over the Flash, and she's also wrote Batgirl. So she is kind of like the person. There's also rumours as well that she's been lined up to write the new Justice League as well, which would make sense in the sense that, well, she's writing the movie that's setting up the next Justice League in the Flash, if we believe the rumours. So it makes sense that she would write the next installment of it,
Yeah. And I'm just looking at the cast listing for the Flash, and they got Tom Curry, the guy who played Aquaman's dad, in this movie.
Wilson, yeah.
I don't know why?
Boba Fett.
Like, why would they just have Aquaman's dad in the movie? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Aquaman has to show up, right? So maybe Jason Momoa has a secret cameo as well.
I'm 100% certain that Jason Momoa was in this movie.
Yeah, because why would you just show like his human dad? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know.
WB were shooting a lot of these movies on the same lot. So Aquaman was shooting at the same time. Obviously, Flash was shooting. We had when Black Adam was shooting, that movie was shooting at the same time as the second Shazam. That was also they both were shooting, I think, around about the same time as the Peacemaker was shooting. So I feel like there's been a lot of stuff going on that we don't know. I feel like there's a lot of cameos and stuff that's been happening
For sure.
that we are going to discover. Like Peacemaker, there will be a cameo in that season finale. I mean, that's obviously off the subject, but I feel like it all connects to The Flash in the sense that DC have got their shit together, you know, like, and no matter what anybody tries to tell you, like, is it going to be good? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you that, you know, but
they got a
what I will
plan.
say is,
They got a plan for at least the next 2 years, and they're gonna fucking
that's all we can ask.
Yeah,
that's all we can ask. You know, what we cried for the longest time is them to make a plan.
Yeah.
There's got a clear plan there. There's connections. There's overlaps. Literally, if you look at the upcoming slate, it all connects to something previously. Apart from the Batman, which is obviously not in the DCEU, which is obviously probably really good for that movie. But if you see the upcoming slate from Black Adam, which is essentially a spin-off from Shazam, which is currently being teased in Peacemaker, which is a spin-off from the Suicide Squad, you know, you can go on and on, you know, Flash setting up Batgirl setting up Black Canary, you know. It's really, really exciting. This is really exciting times.
It is 100%. And yeah, man, I'm getting very excited for the Flash when I look at it, because, you know, when I instantly thought of when they cast Michael Keaton as, you know, in this movie, I'm thinking, like, are they going to do Dark Knight Returns after this movie? Like, and Michael Keaton's going to be that Batman, and they're just going to adapt that story? Because we all know how Dark Knight Returns ends. It ends with fucking Batman, like, in this new Batcave with all these new recruits rebuilding, like, his Bat family type thing. And, like, that's exactly what he's doing after this movie. He's rebuilding the Bat family. He's getting a new Batgirl, and, like, he'll probably get a new Robin. And Dick Grayson could still be dead, technically, you know what I'm saying? Because that fits within the Dark Knight Returns storyline, too.
I think what's happened is, and whether people think this is, like corporate, like dirty tactics, I don't know what they think, but what they've done is they've seen everything that didn't work in the previous, if you want to call it Snyderverse. I don't think it really is Snyderverse, but the previous movies. So we've seen the dead Robin was Dick Grayson. We've seen the reaction that caused. Obviously, it kills off Nightwing, kills off a Red Hood, etc. We see, like, obviously in Man of Steel, there was a lot of chaos in that movie towards the end. We obviously seen Jimmy Olsen being killed off, and there was a lot of things going on in that universe that was upsetting people. But that was because there was actually a story to that universe, but it was only a 5-movie arc and it was done. It would have been rebooted anyway. I feel like the opportunities in The Flash are, we can fix the things that people didn't like, but we can also keep the things that worked. And people can go like, oh, that doesn't make sense. But, you know, if you read Flashpoint and then you read Justice League Origins, which is the book that follows up Flashpoint, you know, certain characters know each other. You know, in this new universe, Batman doesn't know Superman and Superman doesn't know Wonder Woman. But, you know, what happened before between Flash and Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, that still existed. They still know each other. So you can have a universe where characters knew each other already, but some didn't know each other. You know, that happens in comics. It happened in Flashpoint. It's not a new thing they've created, you know?
I mean, this is obviously Jeff Johns' the blueprint, of course. Like, you know,
it has to be. You know, like for me, like when it comes to a lot of this stuff, like it's like the Green Lantern show. People go like, "Oh, can we not do?" No, you go and do Jeff Johns. You want to do Jeff Johns, Green Lantern Rebirth, Sinestro Corps.
If they don't do that, it's going to be a failure. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about you, but like that decade-long Green Lantern run of his is like, why can't we get any of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, give me something from that. You know, like,
do you know that run? I'd heard so much about it, and then I'd read some Guy Gardner, I'd read some different John Stewart, I'd read some of the stuff Kyle Rayner, and I could never get into Green Lantern. I don't know why. And I've even read some older stuff. I read what do you call it?
Emerald Dawn, Emerald Twilight.
Read that. His name's got in my head. Hour. What's it called again? Something Hour.
Was 0 Hour? The Zero Hour storyline where he's parallax?
Crisis in Time. Yeah, but I think he becomes part of it. When that leads to him taking on.
That could be a Justice League movie on its own right there.
I was reading that and I went, okay, I kind of like the character of Hal Jordan, but I'm not sure. Then I picked up Rebirth and I was like, oh my God. Jeff Johns gets this guy. Like he gets this. And I've loved Jeff Johns since way back with JSA. You know, like, and the JSA run is incredible. Like I cannot wait for Black Adam, even, you know, because they're going to be introducing the GSA and the potential we've got with that team. But that's obviously, we'll get to that later on. But I think that Jeff Johns has to be the blueprint going forward for most things. I'm not saying other comic writers, Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison, they can't have influences, but I think that when it comes to a lot of this stuff, Jeff Johns was the blueprint in the comics and he should remain in the movies because that's what made these characters what they are.
Yeah, and I personally love Grant Morrison's Flash run, but that was with Wally West, so I mean, I feel like Grant Morrison could pull it off again with something with this Barry Allen Flash, obviously. But
may I say, Ben Affleck is my favourite Batman, you know, in the sense, like, I want to see Ben Affleck as Batman, but I also respect that Ben Affleck's made it very clear he's done with the character. So I want Ben Affleck to get a fitting end in this movie, whether or not he dies or he just remains in the old universe. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, like, we're fighting over nothing here. Like, Ben doesn't want to come back, so I just hope that he gets a fitting ending for his portrayal of Batman, what he deserves.
Matt Reeves was talking about the Batman script that Ben Affleck had and how it's going to be an action-packed, you know, Arkham Asylum type movie, you know, which, you know, sounds cool. Sounds like the video games. But I like what we're getting with the Batman now. Honestly, I like the direction they're going with Batman now over that, because I feel like we've done that over and over. You know, we've seen Batman beat up everybody in Arkham a few times now. You know, like it's yeah. But
I think that obviously what we're getting now is you know, giving Matt Reeves the creative freedom, meaning that he can build his own Batman universe. I think that works completely. You know. With allowing what it looks like to be Michael Keaton, you know, which is pretty mad and cool and amazing, but that's like a mad situation where, like, take away the fact that Michael Keaton on paper is 70, you know, like, Michael Keaton's a badass. Like, Michael Keaton, like, if you go and watch Spider-Man Homecoming just a couple of years ago, like, this guy,
70.
he doesn't look 70,
you know.
There's a film that just came out last year called, maybe even this year, called The Protege. It's him and Maggie Q, and I watched it, and it's weird because I know Michael Keaton's 70, so when he's getting cast as a sort of boyfriend role, I still find it strange, right? But then you're watching Michael Keaton and he's doing these action scenes, of course, his stunt doubles, etc. And that'll be even easier as Batman because you won't ever actually have to see him in the suit because it will be a stunt double. But and I'm watching Michael Keaton and I'm like, this guy can pull it off. Like, this guy can pull it off. And not to mention that, you know, he just won an award for Dope Sick, his Hulu series, which he's fantastic in. So this is an Academy Award-winning nominated actor. He's a nominee, Michael Keaton, for Birdman. So this guy's a big name. And, you know, allowing Ben, like we were saying, allowing Ben to escape the role. Clearly Ben's had ups and downs with the Batman role, but giving Ben that opportunity to step away and bringing back the OG Batman, I think we're winning here, man.
I know. And I do like Batman versus Superman. I think the movie's all right, you know. I think that the movie's pretty good. There's a lot of good elements to it, but there's a lot of bad stuff that is going to get erased after this Flash movie, which I'm fine with. Like the whole Gotham City being across the bay from Metropolis, like that might get erased completely, which is great. I never liked that to begin with. You know what I'm saying? There's some things I hope do get erased. Because I hate the idea that Gotham's just another city. You know, it's just right there. I hate that idea. And Metropolis just looks like Toronto. You know, I don't. You know, they can get more creative with the cities and stuff.
I think that's the beauty of bringing back Keaton, because you can do a sort of spin on the Tim Burton Gotham, but you can obviously modernise it. So, like, for people complaining that, oh, it's not Tim Burton Gotham, well, it's not, it's 30 years later, you know, like, that Tim Burton Gotham will always remain what it was, but it allows them to sort of play on it. If you've seen, obviously, the set picks of Batgirl, there's a lot of Tim Burton-esque stuff going on there. So I can see, you know, they're sort of getting the best of both worlds there. And it also allows, if it's true that Supergirl Sasha Calle is going to be the new Super Kryptonian in the DCEU.
Yeah, for the meantime, yeah.
Yeah, for the meantime. Oh, by the way, can we just say for the fact, like, Superman will be back, you know, whether
I
it's
fully
Henry
expect
Cavill or
to
not.
see some kind of, like, Henry Cavill, like, nod, or, like, you know, they show Superman somewhere, like, Grace Randolph was saying they show him on a TV or something like that. I could totally see that happening in the movie.
Oh, I still think that in time, I still think Henry could be Superman. I still think it could happen. I think that the sounds of it leaves the door open. Yeah. To potentially, whereas, you know, with Ben Affleck, it sounds like it's a complete door shut because Ben Affleck has chosen it to be that way. Ben Affleck was obviously actively involved in writing his scenes. That was reported in Vanity Fair a couple of years ago when Ben Affleck was confirmed to return. So Ben Affleck, no matter what happens in this movie, like, guys, like, Ben Affleck greenlit it, he wrote it, he knows how his Batman is going to end up in this movie. You know, it's not like this has been forced upon him by the studio. Ben Affleck has voluntarily said, like, okay, I want this to be my last Batman, but I want to go out in style.
Did you want me to read the synopsis they have on IMDb about The Flash?
I'll go for it.
It says, the plot is unknown. Nobody knows what the fucking movie's about.
you go on Twitter, but everybody wants you to tell you, like, the whole movie, what the sequel's going to look like, what the end game.
They kept it pretty close to the chest. Like, they aren't sharing shit about this movie. And it might turn out really good. I don't know. The fact that they haven't done massive reshoots gives me some hope, honestly.
They might still, you know, they might do something. I say, like,
right before Justice League came out, like, I think it was like 3 or 4 months before that movie came out, they did massive reshoots, like $100 million of reshoots with Whedon. So,
well, I think that those reshoots were, like, I think because they were so unplanned. I think that you had, like, Ray Fisher on set one day, you had Ben Affleck the next month. Then I think they didn't even shoot Henry's Superman scenes until literally within 2 or 3 months of the movie being released. That's why they had no time to fix his moustache. But like that, I don't think that's going to happen here. I think, like,
that's the thing to keep an eye out, though, because, like, I remember that happening back in 2017 when we're hearing about those reshoots and how long they were taking. I'm like, oh, this is not good. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is classic, like, something bad is happening with the movie. But, you know, unless we see something like that, I have no reason to think this movie's going to be, like, god-awful. Like, I feel like they wouldn't make the movie for 7 months if they didn't have no idea what they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think... this is all I can say, and people can call me a shill, whatever. I'm sure I'm going to get that. But what I will say is, I don't think Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton sign on to this flick.
If it's trash. If it's a trash script, there's no way.
I just don't think so. I don't think Michael Keaton walked away from a reported $25 million, 30 years ago to be in Batman Forever. Michael Keaton is getting a lot of work these days. He's the Vulture still over at Sony. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work, but we know he's going to be in Morbius. So he's going to be the Vulture over there. He's getting paid over at Disney, Yeah. So, like, I don't see why Michael Keaton... I mean, we know he's going to appear at least The Flash and Batgirl. There's even rumours today, I don't know if you saw it, that his personal assistant has been clipped on IMDb for Aquaman too. So
Nice.
there's potential that Keaton could even appear in Aquaman. Which
He's probably gonna be a post-credit scene. Post-credit scene is showing up to Aquaman's, house or something.
It makes sense. They're saying he's going to be a Nick Fury type role.
Yep.
I'm seeing people out there going, that doesn't make sense. But
It's Batman.
They're probably the same people that were moaning that Batman looked like a punk when he was when he was fighting parademons and he looked lost, which is true. Which is one of the biggest things about Batman. He doesn't really fit in with the Justice League in terms of being on the field, but where he does fit in is his brain, his mind, and having Michael Keaton as the guy in the chair, the guy sort of planning things out. That is Batman's role, like in the Justice League. That should be his role. Like Batman you shouldn't expect Batman to go toe-to-toe with Brainiac. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And that's why you've got Supergirl, that's why you've got Aquaman, so you've got Wonder Woman, that's why you've got the Flash. Obviously we know Blue Beetle's coming as well. So you've got all this sort of stuff going on. But I think the plan going forward with Michael Keaton, I think it's spot on. I think I know we keep running down to Michael Keaton all the time, but I feel like that's one of the people that will listen to this, will be people who maybe see Michael Keaton's an old man, etc. But I feel like you need to understand I can see the plan. That's all I can say. I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah. And, I like the whole multiverse strategy that they have with the Batman being in his own universe, and then you get the Flash and this DCEU universe. And it totally leaves potential to maybe Robert Pattinson takes over Michael Keaton's role one day with some other fucking, big crossover event type thing.
Well, they've teased DC fandom last year, Jim, at the end of DC fandom last year, which everybody seems to have just... I don't know if it's just deliberately ignoring things. I don't know why it was with some of this fandom, but yeah. But at the end of the DC fandom, we've seen the Jim Lee art he was teasing for the weeks building up to DC fandom, and it was a Crisis on Infinite Earths cover, but it was the movie actors. So we had Blue Beetle, Keaton's Batman, we had Batgirl, we had obviously the Shazam, we had the Suicide Squad. That was them telling us, then they bleaked out what Jim Lee says, but it was almost like them telling us we're going to do a Crisis. That's coming. That is coming. And I feel like that is going to be some kind of end game. I still think we'll get a Justice League movie in the next.
But that will be the Justice League movie. Is Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the Flash is essentially the prelude. It's the fucking It's the book you read to get ready for the run. I think we might get a Justice League movie in the next maybe. Like 2024 time. I feel like we might get one maybe the end of 2020. I could see us getting a Justice League movie before that, but maybe they might just go to Crisis. They might not. I think it just really depends on how this new universe goes. But they've left themselves options on the table, because you could have Robert Pattinson after Matt Reeves has done his trilogy and the spin-offs. You could have Robert Pattinson come over, or if you wanted to, it seems like they're teasing a Robin and Batgirl, so Keaton did have a Robin at some point. So, and it sounds like we're going to have a Nightwing movie, if you listen to what the scoopers are saying. So I think they could be leaving the door open to Nightwing becoming Batman, which, that they're creating options, which is good, whereas before in the current universe, or you want to call it the old universe, the one we're still living in at the moment, in the movies, that isn't a lot of options. There wasn't a lot of, where the Batman character was with Dick Grayson dead. It sort of took away that. Zack Snyder was bottlenecking it, to this one storyline that was going to end and probably get reset with this Flash movie anyway. I mean, we're in the year of 2022. If everything went according to plan with Zack Snyder, those, Justice League movies should have been done by now,
Yeah.
And they all should have been out. So I feel like, they kind of just like, skip all that. Let's just go Flash. Reset, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's weird, this Flash movie. I think DC wished that was the movie coming out in March and not the Batman, in a weird way. Like, I feel like they kind of want that movie now, because they just want to,
just get it out. Just get it out, see what the reaction is. And see how, you could change anything.
Because they've already greenlit, obviously, Batgirl, which comes after the Flash, and all intents and purposes, Blue Beetle is going to come after the Flash as well. So I feel like up until that point, there's like the movies are having to sort of be independent. You know what I mean? Like you're going to see like obviously the Suicide Squad comes out. It is essentially a reboot of the Suicide Squad because it doesn't really have any mentions to the first movie. It's a clever way of doing it.
That's good.
It's very clever how James Gunn done it. But it's kind of the Suicide Squad always been a thing. Harley Quinn and Boomerang, they've always been in the Suicide Squad, but there was never a mention to the previous mission. It was just they've always been in it, which I thought was really clever. And I feel like that's you kind of see in Aquaman, but they have minimum references. Shazam was more a sort of it was like it almost was in its own world to an extent.
It's like it's in its own corner of the universe and stuff. It doesn't really have to interact with Aquaman or something like that,
I feel like it will though, but I feel like you're right though.
Shazam's biggest thing is you got to get Black Adam right, and you got to have him fight Shazam. Like it's got to, if they could just focus on doing that right, you know what I'm saying? Get that set up good.
I feel like you already see even though David Sandberg, the director, Shazam is sort of like saying, "Oh, I don't know what's going on in the other movies." The new Shazam suits are fitting in line with the Black Adam suits. You're like, yeah, stop lying, David.
They know exactly. They are definitely synchronizing whatever's happening in Black Adam to what's happening in Shazam too. Like you're going to watch these movies back to back, and there's probably going to be tons of nods to each one, and there's going to be tons of tie-ins probably. And then it's going to all climax with Shazam 3, Battle of the Gods or something like that. I don't know.
But I would be curious, if they do Justice League before that. I don't know if they will. But I'd be curious if this is all tied into the Flash, by the way. But because the Flash is the key to all of this. Like we're talking about the Flash, and we don't know what's going to come here and there. But I'd be curious if they decide to. I don't know if they would do this. Maybe they won't. In a future Justice League movie, have Black Adam as a member of the Justice League.
That would be wild. I mean,
I think with the Superman character missing, I feel like there's an opening for a Superman-esque character. I know Supergirl will be there, and I feel like having Black Adam involved in somehow not only brings in the Dwayne Johnson fans and that sort of part of it, but also sort of brings in that Superman-y presence. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the potential with the resetted timeline, anything's possible. They could sort of mix and match teams. It will be almost like the podcast here. It's going to be like Justice League Unlimited. It's going to be, it's going to be different. It's not going to be necessarily the basic Justice League team you saw the last few years. Aquaman, Flash. Obviously, Cyborg's out, but Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Which, by the way, Cyborg was supposed to be in this movie. Like, they were going to build up Cyborg even more before, like, some actor got fucking self-righteous, all right? Like, they were going to build this up even more with him.
I don't even know who the actor is.
I forgot his name is.
That guy that was in that movie, yeah. No, I think that's obviously a really sad situation, but, well, it isn't.
Sad for him.
I feel like sad for him because this universe is looking really exciting, and I think that specific actor, obviously, could have been part of this, and he really should have been. He could have been one of the faces of the future of this DCEU, and unfortunately, due to issues that he's got and personal issues, it's no longer legal issues because that's sort of been done by a former federal judge, so like that's been dealt with. There's no legal matter here. It's just a shame that that's not going to be able to happen. But I also like the idea of them introducing Blue Beetle, next year, because that essentially is Cyborg, and to an extent. So like we're going to get Blue Beetle, and I kind of would, no offense, I saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I thought they did the Cyborg, everything you can really do with Cyborg in that movie.
He showed his whole origin. His whole origin. Yeah. Zack Snyder's Justice League, everything Silas dying, like that's all I really care about when it comes to Cyborg. I don't care about Cyborg's villain. Like, what's his fucking villain?
Good. That's
Grid?
A good. Aye.
I don't give a fuck about that villain. I don't care.
I don't think I think Zack Snyder's Justice League almost did the character dirty in the sense of it did that specific origin in that movie. Whereas that origin, if that was done in a Cyborg movie, could have been really compelling.
Which,
you know,
by the way, like, you know, Justice League changed that completely because they were planning on doing a Cyborg film with that origin, with that Silas dying, and it was going to be its own film.
They left, obviously, his dad there. We've seen that at the end of that movie, we've seen the transformation into the more comics accurate suit.
Yeah.
So they sort of left the potential there. And I actually quite like, I don't know, the Cyborg character has never really appealed to me. You know, he's always been a Teen Titans guy to me, who they've sort of tried to push into the Justice League once.
And who was the guy trying to push him into the Justice League?
Jeff Johns.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You know,
he's racist though. He's
no. Like, you know, Jeff Johns. I know he was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez on Teen Titans, but Jeff Johns, you know, he made that character what it is. That's just the thing I find mad about that whole situation. But that's when I actually found mad when the specific actor said that he didn't understand why Jeff Johns was having so much opinions, because it's one thing writing the character in comic form, the other thing's actor. And they're like, no, I don't think so. I think the character you're portraying is the character that Jeff Johns created, but that's a different situation. That is again, that's a really sad situation. It's a fallout of the last 2 years, and the sort of the campaign and the Twitter thing, and I don't think there's going to be a reconciliation there. I don't see a way back at this point.
I feel like it's just going to lead to a recasting if they ever do want to bring Cyborg back. I mean, it's not like Ray Fisher's the only guy who can play Cyborg. I mean, you could probably get any young black actor and they could pull it off. Probably, it's not.
I think it's just me personally, Alex. Like, the character of Cyborg does not interest me. He is a tool to the Justice League. He's good for the boom tubes.
He's literally just the computer for the Justice League.
Yeah, and I think with this new universe, with Keaton being the sort of Nick Fury type, they've already got John Economos and Amelia Harcourt. They've got both of them. Of course, we have Blue Beetle as well. We've got the sort of computer desk characters.
They are bringing back Faora and General Zod for Flash, so it makes me really believe that they are keeping Man of Steel in continuity here. But they might be altering that ending where Zod gets his neck snapped. Like, what if, when this, multiverse time convergence goes down in the Flash and things get messed up? What if it pops Zod out right before he gets his neck snapped or something like that? You know what I'm saying?
I think, it's an opportunity for DC to look at every single Twitter complaint from 2013 through to 2022 and absolutely go back and just retcon the shit. Stop the moment where Zod smashes through Metropolis and murders everybody, and that weirdly, I still feel extremely uncomfortable. And Zack Snyder 9/11 montage.
Oh yeah, and honestly, that whole showdown in Man of Steel and the neck snap, that sets the chain reaction that leads to Batman versus Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? That could be
absolutely right.
So if this Flash movie is going to reset things, and that's the moment it has to change for the whole universe.
That one moment, you're right, Alex. If you change that one moment, if you stop either Zod smashing through Metropolis or you stop Superman killing, literally the DCEU changes completely. You can still have Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman 1984. They can still exist. Aquaman can still exist. All of this stuff can still exist. Shazam can still exist. Literally one moment. People aren't seeing it that way. I'm sure people can sit there and
that's what Flashpoint's all about, right? It's this one moment that changed in the past altered everything. Butterfly effect type thing. So I really feel like if they went that angle, and I feel like they have to, because Zod's in the fucking movie.
Like they are.
You know what I'm saying?
All I could think is if they're going to retcon Zod, right, and they're going to make him still alive, because I believe Michael Shannon's too good an actor not to have in this universe. Okay, I think a DCEU to me shouldn't be characters dead, etc. I believe like characters should, like, this connected universe. I want to get to a point where we're having a Justice League film. The Legion of Doom are showing up, and like Zod's even in the movie. Like I want to be able to see like any character, at any moment can pop up. Like that's why I don't like what happened in Man of Steel, and I certainly don't like what happened with Doomsday and Batman v Superman. But I think that keeping Michael Shannon alive, potentially having him in a Supergirl movie, I think that's on the table potentially. I think that is the way they should go. They should try and keep him around, and I think we've actually nailed something here talking about this. I think that one moment, that one segment of Man of Steel, that final 20 minutes of that movie, if you can somehow change that and have Barry help Superman, or even if Henry isn't on set, you could have the moment before they decide to attack Metropolis. Barry fight Fiora and Zod and literally change everything in that moment.
Yeah, change the whole outcome of Man of Steel and stuff. I mean, I feel like that's got to have something to do with it. I don't know why else you would have these. Why you would bring back Zod and Fiora? Like what's the reason?
For the extended, look, if they're getting named,
they have lines. If they're getting named, they have lines in the movie. So it's got to be something more than just like a 30-second scene.
Absolutely. I actually think the Flash will have about three or four post-credit scenes. I think that. I think that will have a Batgirl set up. I think it will have a Blue Beetle set up. I think it will have a Green Lantern set up. I think that movie will have so much like setting up at the end. That it's going to be interesting. You know what I mean? Like to see how they actually pull this off. That's why I've always said like I'm absolutely ecstatic. I can't wait for the movie, but I don't anticipate the movie getting, like the reviews that Shazam and Wonder Woman, Peacemaker, and the Suicide Squad are getting. That I think there's just so much to cover, and I can't see how they can pull it off. But then again, actually, I hear a complaint that Marvel are well ahead with their multiverse stories. That actually could work in DC's favour, because by the time the Flash comes out, we've seen 3 Spider-Men, we've seen WandaVision, and we've also seen the upcoming Doctor Strange. So we'll understand how the multiverse works and the concept of the multiverse, and merging realities. As we know, post Doctor Strange, we're going to have mutants and Deadpool and etc. and the Fantastic Four in the MCU. Yeah. But Doctor Strange will be the key for that. So I think that if audiences watch Doctor Strange, you'll understand how that merging of universes or multiverse works, meaning that when the Flash does it, it shouldn't be that difficult to understand.
Yeah, hopefully the crowd will understand what's going on in the fucking movie.
It just depends the particular people who are watching the movie who are deliberately going to go in, because that is unfortunately going to be a very small element. Let's not be fooled here. Yeah. A very small element of the internet who have made us all believe there's a big element who are going to go into that movie wanting to hate it, wanting to call it stupid, wanting to call it dumb.
Oh yeah. Same people that trashed like James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Yeah, I know those people you're talking about.
Yeah, but like I have said, previously and to you, is like these people are changing. A lot of these people are starting to come round to this new DC vision, or they are outright just kind of stopping. They're trailblazing hate. There still, unfortunately, is a few bad eggs out there who are just continuing to lie with malicious intent. Misleading people with information that this is going to happen and this person's going to get fired and stuff. Like, let's be very clear. The Flash is coming this year, hopefully, and when the Flash comes, that will set up this new timeline and everything that comes after. Although it is the multiverse, I do believe it's going to be the Batman, which is going to be Matt Reeves' baby, and he's going to have complete control over that. But I believe everything else, for the most part, will be DCEU. Oh yeah, it's going to be connected. It's going to. We can see it already with Harcourt. She's already been confirmed for Black Adam, so that's and we've already seen the teases for Black Adam and Peacemaker, so we know Peacemaker ties directly into Black Adam. We know that, the Batgirl is a direct sequel to The Flash almost, like the soak with Michael Keaton. So we know that there's going to be a lot of connections coming up, there's going to be a lot of ties, and that's just the plan going forward. What happens in 2024, 2025, who knows? Who knows? But all we can say right now is this is the plan, this is what they're going with, and no matter what anybody's telling you online or what anybody's trying to feed you misinformation so you buy their Patreon, the fact is, this shit is that like what happened before is done. This is the plan, and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. I'm excited to see what they do, if they can pull it off, honestly. Because The Flash is nobody thinks this movie's going to work out, really. Like nobody thinks. So I think
that's good too.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. It gives it a chance to blow away people's expectations, which are very low. Which is what it's all about, right? People went into Batman versus Superman thinking it's going to be the greatest movie of all time, right? And that backfired on a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
I think obviously one day we'll probably do a retrospective of that movie. We'll maybe sit and talk our way through that movie. But one thing I can say about that movie is I was an avid defender of that movie for the longest time. In my man cave, I've got statues. I've got Iron Studio statues next to me. What is from Suicide Squad, BVS, and Justice League. But I can tell you, I was defending that movie blindly because I knew in my heart of heart that this movie wasn't good, and I knew it wasn't. And obviously now, I've grown up a bit. It was 6 years ago, I think. 6 years ago now.
A long time.
So we've moved on from it, and I've started now to sort of realise that I love the DC characters. I'm no longer just a Batman fan. I'm no longer just a Superman fan. I love these DC characters. That's why when people talk about there could be a Justice League with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, Flash, Batgirl, Supergirl, Blue Beetle, I'm bring it on. That's what I want. I want to see these characters coexist in an interconnected universe. I want to see characters that maybe have never been given the spotlight, given an opportunity to shine. And I think as well, one of the biggest things about this Flash movie is times have changed in the sense that society's moving on. Where DC was at in 2016, we were just coming off the back of not long before the Dark Knight trilogy, and we had this belief as a fandom, just as an audience, that DC has to be dark. It has to be, it has to be this dark and sinister way. I feel like now in 2022, we've realised that there's one dark character in DC. Yes, stories can be dark, and they can have sinister undertones. But there's one dark character in DC that I worked for, and that's Batman. Outside of that, if you read DC a way back, DC comics have been going since the 30s, and DC wasn't the dark world for the vast majority of that. If you read a comic for the 70s, 80s, even in the 90s, DC is very light and colourful, and the backbone of these characters is a hopeful universe. That's why Superman's the beacon of hope, and Wonder Woman, is truth and justice. That's what that we need to accept. That's what these characters are, and get away from what was getting sort of set up in the previous movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because with Superman especially, I feel like everybody wants to see the evil Superman for some reason, but it bogs down the character because he's not that. Anytime I read him in the books, he's always the more optimistic one out of the whole Justice League, and he's not evil in any way. You know what I'm saying?
I feel it's lazy. Yeah. I feel it's lazy. It's like anytime you make Superman the evil guy, it was okay in Injustice, but it gets to a point where it's like Superman's so powerful, and so instead of being clever and trying to create scenarios where Superman's out his comfort zone, and he's been forced to you maybe have a Legion of Doom or a Brainiac where Superman is really up against it. Instead of doing that, they sort of flip it on the team and go, okay, we'll just make Superman the bad guy and then make the Justice League have to fight Superman. And then it's such a lazy way around it, instead of actually creating scenarios where Superman. It doesn't just need Superman; it needs the whole league. Instead of in Zack Snyder's Justice League and the theatrical got a Justice League, it felt like the Justice League were hitting a brick wall when the Superman comes and basically ends the fight. Like it just ends it like as if like he didn't even need the Justice League to beat Steppenwolf in either cut, and I think that's a big difficulty with that character. And I think obviously people's instinct is to jump straight to Darkseid, and I understand that as well. But I think that's the part of filmmakers. That's why the DC is very filmmaker driven. That's why Walter Hamada and his sort of trust in filmmakers is important, because he's allowing these filmmakers to come in and problem solve and create problems that ask questions of characters like Superman.
And looking forward to The Flash. I feel like they have a chance to pull off this universe, but we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. I think that's going to do it for now, though. Talk about The Flash. Unless you got any final words on it.
No, like obviously this is like so fun, and we've rumbled on, but we're going to probably have many more talks about The Flash coming up to the end of the year. But right now I'm just really pumped for it. I can't wait. I think this movie has the potential to be, if not, like the most successful, the biggest DC movie to date, in the sense that it's not just going to be The Flash and a couple of Batman and Supergirl. This movie is probably going to have every DCEU superhero we've saw to date, and it's probably going to introduce multiple new characters that we're going to see going forward.
I wouldn't be surprised if they show some CW characters too. I wouldn't be shocked to see that.
Well, we've actually not mentioned it, but it's going to be interesting to see how they play out. I thought that the amazing thing about A Crisis on Infinite Earths is that obviously Grant gave Ezra his name, The Flash, which I thought was a really clever way of doing that, obviously. But we suspect that scene is supposed to take place while Barry is travelling the multiverse. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that, because I think that scene will still be in the Flash movie. I think they might do it again, maybe get Grant on set, like sort of like do it with better camera and the lighting, etc. But I think that scene will remain, but maybe change the dialogue ever so slightly. Unless obviously they keep in the dialogue and just have it that maybe like he goes a trial run, a timeline jumping trial run, and in that trial run he meets Grant and then comes back to Ben, and then they do it again, and then it's the obviously second time. So like when he comes back, like obviously Cyborg is still Cyborg. It's going to be interesting to see how they play around to that specific scene. They might not mention it, but I think it's too good having Grant Gustin's Flash give the Flash name to Ezra. I think that's really good synergy there, and I think like I wouldn't like to lose that moment.
Oh yeah, me too. I want to see that scene where he's in Star Labs with Grant Gustin and stuff. I want to see that in the Flash movie. I want to see if they can recreate that somehow. Maybe a better version of Star Labs. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm sure we're going to see a much better version.
Oh yeah, that's it for now though. I don't have my expectations through the roof on the Flash. I feel like that's how everybody should go into it. Just let's hope it's a good movie. That's it. Like, what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like what my expectations were for Aquaman. I was just hoping like it was just an entertaining movie, and that's what I got, type thing. So, kind of hoping that with the Flash. Obviously, gonna lose my mind when I see Keaton, but yeah, that's it for now. That's the first volume of the DCFU podcast. Next one, we're probably gonna talk about Batman, because that movie's fast approaching. So, hopefully, see you all then. That's gonna do it for now. Bye, guys.